Most women will choose emotional security over financial security every single time, and the psychology behind this choice will disturb you. It's not what you think. It's not about romance or feelings. It's about something darker, something primal that most men completely miss. While you're busy counting your bank account, she's measuring something else entirely. Your emotional unavailability, your psychological strength, your ability to remain unmoved when she tests you. Because here's the brutal truth that no one wants to admit. Women don't crave your money, they crave your indifference to their approval. In this video, you're not going to learn how to buy her affection. You're going to learn how to become psychologically expensive. Not through your wallet, but through your mental framework. Not by giving more, but by needing less. We're diving deep into the psychology that makes a woman obsess over a man who treats her attention like it's ordinary, while ignoring the man who treats her like she's extraordinary. This isn't about being rich. This is about being rare. Let's begin. If this perspective is shifting how you see attraction, hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to share will completely rewire your understanding of what women actually want. And trust me, it's not what society taught you. The psychology of scarcity versus abundance. Every woman you meet has been trained by society to believe money equals security. But her psychology tells a different story. Her mind doesn't crave what's easily available. It fixates on what feels just out of reach. And that's where most men make their fatal mistake. They think more money equals more attraction. So they flash their wealth, talk about their success, buy expensive gifts, pay for everything. But what happens? She accepts it all with a polite smile and thinks about the man who didn't even offer. Why? Because abundance without challenge creates comfort, not obsession. Her brain is wired to solve puzzles, not to appreciate gifts. When you give too much too easily, you remove the mystery. You become predictable. And predictable men, no matter how wealthy, become invisible. But the man who has money and doesn't use it to impress her, the man who can afford the expensive restaurant but takes her somewhere simple instead, the man who has resources but makes her earn access to them, that man becomes a question she can't stop trying to answer. It's not about being cheap, it's about being selective. It's about showing her that your resources, like your attention, have standards. Because when a woman realizes you have options but you're choosing to be selective, she doesn't see your money, she sees your power. And power, real power, is what makes her mind race at 3 in the morning, the emotional investment trap. Here's what wealthy men don't understand about women and money. She doesn't want your money. She wants to feel like she earned it. But more than that, she wants to feel like she earned you. Because the human mind assigns value based on effort, not on gifts. When you pay for everything without her contributing anything, emotional, intellectual, or even financial, you're not showing generosity. You're showing desperation. You're communicating that you believe your personality alone isn't enough to keep her interested. And women sense that insecurity immediately. They can smell the fear behind your generosity. The fear that if you don't pay, she'll leave. But here's the psychology that will shock you. The woman who contributes to the relationship, who invests her own time, energy, or even money, becomes more attached to you, not less. It's called the effort justification effect. The more she invests in something, the more valuable it becomes to her. So when you remove her ability to invest, when you handle everything financially, you're actually making yourself less valuable in her mind. You're turning yourself into a service provider instead of a partner. Instead, let her contribute. Let her plan a date. Let her cook for you. Let her solve problems with you. Let her feel like she's building something, not just receiving something. Because the woman who invests in you will fight for you. The woman who just receives from you will replace you the moment someone more interesting comes along. The attraction to emotional unavailability. Women say they want emotional availability, but their behavior reveals the opposite. They're drawn to the man who doesn't need their emotional validation. The man who doesn't change his mood based on her mood. The man who remains psychologically stable while she's in emotional chaos. This is what they crave more than money. Emotional consistency from a man who cannot be moved. Most men think being emotionally available means being emotionally reactive. They think showing feelings means showing every feeling. So they become emotional mirrors, happy when she's happy, worried when she's distant, angry when she's cold. But that's not strength. That's dependency. And dependency, no matter how much money backs it up, is never attractive. The man she craves is the one who can listen to her problems without trying to fix them immediately, who can watch her emotional storms without getting pulled into them, who can give her space to feel without making it about him. That kind of emotional unavailability isn't coldness, it's mastery. It's the ability to be present without being needy, to be caring without being desperate, to be supportive without losing yourself. And when you master this, something fascinating happens. She stops trying to get emotional reactions from you and starts trying to earn your emotional respect. She stops testing you and starts investing in you. Because she realizes that your emotional stability isn't something she can manipulate or buy. It's something she has to honor, the power of delayed gratification. Here's a psychological principle that wealthy men never learn. Immediate gratification kills attraction. When you give her everything she wants the moment she wants it, you're training her brain to expect instant satisfaction. And instant satisfaction breeds entitlement, not gratitude. But when you introduce delay, when you make her wait for your attention, your time, your resources, something powerful happens in her mind. The anticipation becomes more valuable than the reward itself. She starts thinking about what she's waiting for. She starts imagining how it will feel when she finally gets it. She starts investing mental energy in the outcome, and that mental investment creates emotional attachment. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. This is about understanding that value is created through scarcity, not abundance. The man who responds to her texts immediately appears to have nothing else going on. The man who takes hours to respond appears to have a life worth living. The man who's always available appears desperate. The man who's selectively available appears valuable. So even if you have all the money in the world, don't make everything immediate. Make her earn your time. Make her wait for your attention. Make her anticipate your next move. Because the woman who has to wait for you will value you more than the woman who has you whenever she wants. Anticipation creates obsession. Instant gratification creates boredom. The psychology of challenge and growth. Women are psychologically wired to grow, to evolve, to become better versions of themselves. And they're attracted to men who catalyze that growth, not men who try to keep them comfortable. Money can make her comfortable, but comfort doesn't create growth. Challenge does. The man she craves is the one who sees her potential and refuses to let her settle for less. Not through criticism or control, but through standards. Through expecting excellence. Through not accepting mediocrity just because she's beautiful. Most wealthy men make the mistake of trying to remove all challenges from her life. They pay her bills, solve her problems, eliminate her stress. But what they don't realize is that they're also eliminating her growth. And without growth, she becomes restless. She starts looking for challenges elsewhere, for men who will push her to become more than she is. The man who makes her better, who challenges her thinking, who refuses to accept her excuses, becomes irreplaceable. Because he's not just giving her things. He's giving her evolution. He's helping her become the woman she's capable of being. And that kind of transformation, that kind of growth, creates a bond stronger than money ever could. She doesn't just want him, she needs him, because he's connected to her becoming who she's meant to be. This is why the most successful women often end up with men who aren't necessarily the wealthiest, but who are the most psychologically demanding. Men who see through their beauty to their character. Men who won't be satisfied with surface-level conversations. Men who expect depth, authenticity, growth. These men become addictive because they're not just offering comfort, they're offering evolution. They're not just accepting who she is, they're demanding who she could become. The illusion of security versus real security. Here's what most men don't understand about women and security. Financial security is temporary. Emotional security is permanent. You can lose money. You can lose your job. You can lose your wealth. But a man who is psychologically unshakable, who cannot be moved by external circumstances, who maintains his frame regardless of what happens, that man provides real security. The security that comes from knowing that no matter what chaos erupts around them, he will remain stable. He will remain strong. He will remain him. Women test men not because they want to create problems, but because they need to know if you can handle problems. They need to know if you'll crumble under pressure or stand firm. They need to know if your strength is real or just a performance. And this testing never stops. Even after marriage, even after years together, she'll continue to test your psychological stability, not consciously, but instinctively, because her survival instincts are constantly evaluating whether you're truly strong enough to protect and provide, not just financially, but emotionally. The man who passes these tests consistently, who remains calm under pressure, who doesn't break when she breaks, becomes her psychological anchor. And that anchor is worth more than any bank account. Because money can be spent, but psychological strength compounds over time. Think about the wealthiest men who still lose their wives to pool boys, personal trainers, or bartenders. These women didn't leave for more money. They left for more strength. They left for men who couldn't be bought, influenced, or moved. Men who had something that money couldn't purchase. Psychological independence. The ability to remain themselves regardless of external circumstances. This is why a broke man with unshakable confidence can steal a woman from a millionaire with insecurity, because deep down she knows that money is just a tool, but character is everything. And when the world gets difficult, when life gets challenging, when everything falls apart, she wants to be with the man who won't fall apart with it. Master the art of selective investment. The final truth about what women crave more than money is this: they want to feel chosen, not bought. They want to feel special, not spoiled. They want to earn their place in your life, not have it given to them. This means being selective about everything: your time, your attention, your resources, your emotional energy. When everything you offer has to be earned, it becomes valuable. When she has to prove herself worthy of your investment, she invests in proving it. When she has to compete for your attention becomes a prize. This isn't about being cruel or withholding. This is about having standards, about knowing your worth and requiring others to recognize it too. The man who gives his best to everyone gets taken for granted by everyone. The man who reserves his best for those who earn it gets treasured by those who receive it. So stop trying to buy her interest with your money. Start requiring her to earn your interest with her actions. Stop trying to impress her with what you have. Start making her prove she's worth what you offer. Stop being generous with everyone and start being selective with your generosity. Because the woman who has to earn you will never take you for granted. The woman who has to work for your attention will never abuse it. The woman who has to prove her worth to you will never forget her value in your life. Here's the psychological shift that changes everything. When you make your resources conditional on her behavior, you're not being transactional. You're being strategic. You're training her subconscious mind to associate good treatment with good behavior, and that association becomes automatic. She stops taking you for granted because taking you for granted leads to losing you. She stops testing your boundaries because crossing your boundaries leads to consequences. She stops playing games because games don't work on someone who's willing to walk away. This is how you become irreplaceable without spending a fortune. By making your presence, not your presence, the most valuable thing you offer. By making your consistency, not your cash, the foundation of her security. By making your character, not your credit card, the source of her attraction. What women crave more than money is the feeling that they've won something rare, that they've earned something valuable, that they've captured something that cannot be bought, only deserved. And when you understand this psychology, when you stop trying to purchase attraction and start requiring it to be earned, everything changes. You stop being an option and become a choice. You stop being a provider and become a prize. You stop being replaceable and become irreplaceable. Not because of what's in your bank account, but because of what's in your character. That's what she's really craving. That's what she'll obsess over. That's what she'll fight to keep. The wealthy men who understand this principle become legendary in women's minds. Not because they spent the most money, but because they demanded the most respect. Not because they gave the most gifts, but because they required the most growth. Not because they were the easiest to be with, but because they were the most worthwhile to earn. These are the men who women talk about years later, the ones who changed how they see themselves and what they accept from others, the ones who raised their standards and refused to lower them, the ones who showed them that real value isn't about what you can buy, but about what you can build. Character, respect, growth, evolution. And here's the final psychological truth that will disturb you. Every woman knows the difference between a man trying to buy her and a man worth earning. She can sense desperation disguised as generosity. She can feel insecurity hidden behind expensive gifts. She can detect weakness masked by wealth. But she can also recognize authentic strength, real confidence, genuine standards. And when she encounters that kind of man, money becomes irrelevant. Because she's found something rarer than wealth. She's found a man who can't be bought, can't be manipulated, and won't compromise his values for anyone or anything. And that man, regardless of his bank balance, becomes priceless in her mind. If this shifted your perspective on attraction and value, comment the word "earned" below. That one word tells me you understand that the most powerful thing you can offer isn't your money, but the opportunity to earn your respect. And if you're ready to master the psychology of true attraction, the kind that money can't buy, but character can create, subscribe now. Because what's coming next will show you how to become the man she chooses, not because of what you have, but because of who you are.